Let's discuss benchmarking on the shadow match system. Now for this, let's go back to basics to the start of it all. And with this, I'm referring to the individual results of someone who has completed the shadow match worksheet. The shadow match worksheet measures habits or behavioral patterns, and at the end of the worksheet, the individual would receive their unique results. So in other words, the unique intensities of each of the habits measured by the shadow match worksheet. Now, with shadow match, there's no good or bad or right or wrong. So I can't have an ideal result or a better result. This is purely the unique map of that individual's unique way of approaching their life. Now, this is the first piece of the puzzle, the map of understanding the individual's makeup or their habit intensities. The benchmarking is a different application on the system. Let's unpack this to show you how much value you can get from this. And with benchmarking, it's one of those functionalities that really makes your data become alive. It unlocks so much of the value so that the results aren't just reports that lie in your inbox somewhere, but it's something that has operational true value to you. What is a benchmark? A benchmark basically maps your unique environment. So it's a unique context map of what's happening in a specific role in a specific organization. It would show the unique combination of habits that are functional towards success in that specific environment. Now, how on earth do we create this? Sounds too good to be true, but it's actually very, very easy, the process of practically doing this on the system. What your building blocks are for this is the current top performing individuals in specific roles. They would complete the shadow match worksheet and their habits would become the building block for your benchmark. Now, what we recommend is using top performing individuals doing the same job in a specific working environment, and they become the building block for your recruitment and development benchmark. Now, basically what you ask is, who is currently successful in this role? The answer to this question would be your list of top performers. So your top performers are the individuals you would then identify within your organization, and you would ask them to complete the shadow match worksheet that you can combine the results to create a benchmark for a specific role. Now, we do have a few guidelines just to make this as accurate as possible. Let the dust settle. So in other words, the individual should be in the role for at least 8 months, that they're genuinely performing in this role, they're continuously meeting your performance targets. They're dependable and reliable, so they should consistently be meeting your performance targets. If you have performance evaluation in place, fantastic, use that to inform this process. If not, it's purely then the question to the managers of this individual to ask, but who is currently doing this job well? Now we add there to say, make sure it's holistic. So it's an overall top performer. In other words, the individuals are positive towards the environment, they're motivated, so they're truly engaged. It's not someone just drifting along and using the company for the ride. They're truly engaged in this. Now, why is this the key to understanding your context? Because these individuals are enabled to perform. The current context, the makeup, everything that makes your environment unique, everything that makes it what it is today, allow these individuals to perform. The fact that person A is the manager, the fact that there's a hybrid model between working remote and working at the office, whatever your specific functions are, the individuals that are performing in that context, they're enabled to perform. So now we say, but learn from how these individuals do the job. Learn from their habits to understand what works in your environment. So the more accurate your process, obviously, the more accurate your benchmark. Now let's go and take a look at how this actually works on the system, because it's actually quite easy to practically do it on the system. Now you would invite the individuals to complete the shadow match worksheet that you have identified as top performing individuals. If they haven't done the shadow match worksheet before and you want to send them a worksheet invite, you would go to send worksheet invites from the file that you want the results to be in. What I'm referring to here is on the system, you can create your structure to display all of the roles or functions in your organization. So let's say you want to start creating the benchmark for the role of customer support. You would go to the customer support file, and there you would then send the worksheet invites from. So I would send invites to individuals, and here you would see I can select what type should the individual be marked as. Should they be marked as an applicant, an employee, or a benchmark individual? If I mark the individual as benchmark individual, the result would automatically be populated in my benchmark group for this specific role. So if you have identified the individuals that should be part of your benchmark group before sending out worksheet invites, then you're welcome to go this route to say, select the type beforehand, they do the worksheet, and then your results will populate automatically in that group. No worries if this hasn't been done before the worksheet invite, because you can at any time change the type of an individual on the system. So in other words, you can change what the result should be tagged as. Should it be tagged as applicant, employee, or benchmark individual? The good news is it's always exactly the same worksheet. You're always comparing apples with apples. So regardless of what the type was when you sent the worksheet invite, the same process is followed and the same experience is had by the individual on the other side. It's purely admin on your side as system administrator. So in this scenario, I mark the individuals, I sent the worksheet invite, they've completed the worksheet, and then the results will populate here in my group of benchmark individuals. Let's say I haven't done this, or it's individuals that weren't benchmark individuals when they completed the worksheet, but now they are performing. Now we want to tag them as benchmark individuals. At any point, I can select any result. In this scenario, I'm going to my employees. Let's say these two individuals should now be added to a benchmark. I can then simply go to my actions button, and then from the list, choose this option to say add to shadow match benchmark. This would then add these two results to the specific benchmark of the file I'm working in. Now, in this demo, I'm showing you the individuals were already added to the benchmark. So we have the results ready. And now we can go and look, but where do I find my benchmark? In my left main menu, I'll see the tag there, shadow match benchmark. And if I click on this, it actually opens up the benchmark for this specific role. Now, if I scroll down, you'll see these are the individuals that I've now tagged as benchmark individuals for this file, either before sending the worksheet or afterwards tagging them to say add to shadow match benchmark. Now what happens in the back end is the system says, okay, you're telling me these 6 or how many ever individuals all are performing currently in your role. They all have unique habits. And now the system needs to create that context map for you to say, but by combining these unique behavioral patterns, I need to find the habits that are definitely functional towards success. So the system does the stats in the back end to say, okay, which of these habits are definitely conducive to success at which intensity level? So a lot of stats happening in the back end. The good news is the system will then communicate to you, is this statistically reliable? So these unique combinations of individuals can be used to show you the context map for this specific role. Once that's happened, once it's green or orange, then you know, great. There's enough congruency between the unique individuals' habits that we can have this benchmark match. What does it look like? It would show you like this on the screen, gray graphs showing the specific intensity of each of the unique habits needed or that are functional towards success in this specific role. There are 5 elements to the benchmark. You have your overall match that shows for all 19 of the habits measured by the benchmark what is the unique intensities for each. Then you have your critical match, highlighting the 5 habits that are embedded to the strongest extent. You'll see discipline here, for instance. There it is again to say your top performers, which of these habits are they using the most? Which pattern, which neuron pathway is embedded to the strongest extent? That would be your critical match. Then you'll have your conceptual fitness. How fit are these individuals to engage problems? The task efficiency, how efficiently did they work through the shadow match worksheet specifically? So the conceptual fitness, the overall time, and the conceptual time put into a calculator to give you the task efficiency of this specific group. And then the attitude is how do they approach the environment? In an involved or an uninvolved approach, an unaggressive approach or assertive or aggressive approach, what unique combination of intensities in each of these quadrants of the attitude. So basically what you now have is this combination of habits are functional towards success in this specific role. So this is the context map of what success looks like for us in this specific context. So a lot of value just understanding this to say, but are we empowering this? Are we enabling this? Are we giving room for growth for these specific habits that are very strongly embedded? Are we enabling team inclination, discipline, whichever the specific habits would be for that specific role? Important to mention here, remember, this would be unique for each role. So if I would go to a different file, the benchmark would look completely different. If I would go to the same role in a different organization, it would also look completely different because this is the unique map of your unique environment informed by your own top performance. So it's not a generic thing that comes to say all managers look like this or so all sales individuals look like this. It's your unique context map. Now, once you have this in place, you can now start comparing and get more value out of this data. So you can compare any employees in this role to this or any applicants applying to this role. Let me just show you quickly what this looks like visually. So this would be that same result we looked at the start of this video, now compared to a benchmark. So now we can see the individual's unique habit profile compared to our context map to see, is the alignment close? Is there a big chance of success for this individual in this environment? Or is the alignment softer where there might be a difference in approaches? And what does that mean? Now, the benchmark unlocks many functions and valuable reports and things on the system. Reports like your matching report that would explain a match in detail, your work match report that would help an employee to understand their journey in their specific role. And it also unlocks functions like multi-matching, where you can now match individuals to various benchmarks, or you can search for individuals from a list of a database to say you have a specific benchmark and show me all of the individuals in my organization and what they matches to a role. Now, the good news is there are videos explaining all of these functions in detail. The purpose of this video is just for you to understand really how valuable a benchmark is. You decide how wide you create that context map. So if you would create benchmarks for each of the roles in your organization, you would basically have a context map of what success looks like in each of these individual roles. And now you have other pieces of the puzzle to inform your processes in your organization. Matching employees to this would allow you to make the development tailored to that specific individual's unique habits and the habits required for that specific role. And matching applicants to the benchmark would inform your optimal placement process to say, but let's find the optimal role for this individual in our organization.